Welcome back to the explainer from Let's Decode Together. So, you've probably seen this term vibe coding floating around, right? It's all over the place, and it's kicking up a ton of excitement, but also a whole lot of confusion. Today, we're going to break it all down, decode what it actually is, and figure out why it's such a big deal.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll get straight to the point. What even is vibe coding? Then we'll jump into the good and the bad, the whole debate. After that, we're going to tackle a huge misconception that's causing a lot of arguments. Then, and this is the fun part, we'll get our hands dirty and actually build a real app so you can see how it works. And to wrap it all up, we'll zoom out and think about what this means for the future of, well, creating pretty much anything.
All right, first up, what is vibe coding? The name sounds super casual, maybe even a little silly, but don't let that fool you. This is a huge shift in how people are thinking about building software. We're talking about moving away from writing out every single tiny instruction and instead just describing what you want.
So this whole thing really exploded back in February 2025, thanks to this now famous quote from AI researcher Andre Karpathy. He basically said, "I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy-paste stuff, and it mostly works." And honestly, that just perfectly nails the feeling of this new approach. It's a little chaotic, super intuitive, and it feels more like you're having a conversation than writing code.
So when we strip it all down, here's what we're talking about. Vibe coding is basically a way of developing software where you're not writing the code yourself. Instead, you're using plain English, natural language, to tell an AI tool what you want it to do. You're describing the vibe, the final outcome, and the AI generates all the complicated code for you.
I love this comparison because it makes so much sense. Think about building a house. With traditional programming, you're basically the builder. You have to know how to lay every single brick, how to mix the mortar, all the nitty-gritty details. But with vibe coding, you're the architect. Your job is to describe the vision, the blueprint. You say, "I want a 3-bedroom house with big windows," and the AI is your construction crew that goes and actually builds it.
And the whole process works in this really fast, tight loop. It's like a back and forth. Step 1, you describe what you want. Step 2, the AI spits out the code. Step 3, you run it and see what happens. Step 4, you give feedback. Hey, make that button bigger. Change that text. Actually add this feature. You just keep going around and around in that loop, refining and tweaking until it's perfect. Okay, let's get into the debate. Because like any big new idea, this one has people who absolutely love it and people who have some pretty serious concerns. So let's explore both the good and the bad. You can totally see why people are excited, right? I mean, the speed is just insane. You can go from an idea to a working prototype in minutes, not weeks. It makes creating things so much more accessible to everyone. But there's a flip side. The code the AI generates can be, well, a real mess sometimes. The quality isn't always there, you could accidentally introduce security holes, and there's a real fear that developers might forget the fundamental skills that got them here in the first place. And that brings us to a really common misconception, something that's honestly fueling a lot of the heated arguments you see online. It's this idea that it's an all-or-nothing situation. I'm sure you've seen posts like this, some tech guru on social media saying something like, as an engineer, you have to choose. Either you write clean, professional code, or you use AI, and you should always pick AI because it knows everything. It creates this false idea that you have to pick a side. But if you go look at what actual experienced developers are saying, for instance, on places like Reddit, they'll tell you that's just not true. It's a false choice. Using AI and writing clean code are not mutually exclusive. You can and should do both. And here's the real difference. The term vibe coding often gets used to describe this extreme accept-all approach, where you just blindly trust whatever the AI spits out. But that's not how professionals use it. They practice what you'd call AI-assisted development. Think of the AI as a co-pilot. It's there to help, to speed things up, but the human engineer is still the captain of the ship, making the final calls on quality, design, and especially security. And how good these AI copilots are often boils down to one critical thing, their memory. It's something called a context window. Basically, the bigger the context window, the more of your project the AI can remember at once, which leads to way better and more consistent code. It's a super important concept, and if you're curious, we actually did a whole deep dive on context windows in our last video. It's worth a watch. All right, enough with the theory. For all of you who want to see how this actually works, let's get practical. It's time to build our first app.
Okay, so this next part is a deep dive for our more technical viewers. But hey, even if you're not a coder, I'd say stick around. Just seeing the back and forth, the prompts, and the results will give you a fantastic feel for how this whole thing works in practice. But if you just want the big picture, feel free to skip ahead to the last chapter.
So if you want to try this, what tool should you use? Well, you've got options. For beginners, I'd point you to something like Replit. It lets you build a whole app right in your browser, and it has one-click hosting, which is amazing. If you just want to build a user interface really fast, V0 by Versal is incredible for that. And if you're already a pro developer, a tool like Cursor builds all this AI magic right into your code editor.
So for our example, let's build a simple tool that compares two pieces of text, kind of like diffmyproject.com. And the first step is always the same. We need to write our initial prompt. We're just going to describe the basic screen layout we want. The key to a good prompt is being specific. So we might say something like this: create a simple web app. Give it the title Diff My Project. Then I want two big text boxes next to each other for the input. And below those, put a button that says compare. Oh, and use React and Tailwind CSS for this. See? No code. We're just talking to it. Okay, so the AI will generate that basic layout for us. Now comes the fun part, refining the vibe. This is where we use follow-up prompts to tweak the design and add the actual functionality. So we could follow up with, hey, can you make the background a dark gray? And then let's use a bright green for the title and the button to give it that classic techie feel. And now for the important part, the logic. Okay, when someone clicks the compare button, I want you to highlight the differences between what's in the two text areas. It's just a conversation. And this part is it's just awesome. This is where you really see the power. Once you're happy with how it looks and works, with a tool like Replit or Vercel, you literally just click one button and boom, your app is live on the internet for anyone to use. It's incredible. So we've defined it, we've looked at the pros and cons, and we've even walked through building something. What does this all mean? What's the big takeaway from this whole shift? Let's talk about the future of creating.
Which brings us to the big final question, the one that's on everyone's mind. Is vibe coding a replacement for developers, or is it just a powerful new tool that's going to change their jobs forever?
And from everything we're seeing, the answer isn't replacement, it's collaboration. It's about combining human creativity with the incredible efficiency of a machine. The future isn't about getting rid of developers. It's about changing what a developer is. The focus is shifting away from just writing code and more towards being that architect, that visionary who guides the AI to build amazing things. Thanks for watching. If you want more clarity on complex topics just like this, make sure to subscribe. Let's keep decoding together.